Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, search, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. So, as everybody knows by now, Trump has issued an executive order that all the documents and files related to JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King are to be declassified. And so, on the surface, it seems like a great day for transparency for the American public and transparency of the American government. And it could be, depending on what files end up being released and how much they're redacted, a lot of really incredible information should be available. And I have a feeling, considering all the shady details of all three of those assassinations, that a lot of light could be shown on how the U.S. government works and its complicity in some of these events. We know that for the Martin Luther King assassination, the shooter was a patsy, and that somehow, some way, the U.S. government was probably involved in it because they were bugging him, bugging his phones, and they're bugging him too. They were bugging his phones and persecuting him the whole time he was alive, and those are the kind of voices that they like to silence. And there was a lot of threats to the status quo from RFK as well, and certainly the JFK assassination is one of the most complicated. With all the theories out there, I hesitate to call them conspiracy theories, although the whole idea of conspiracy theories became a thing after the JFK assassination. But there's various theories about the mafia being involved, the Cuban exiles being involved, the CIA being involved, LBJ being involved, and all those elements have a certain amount of credibility. And as I pointed out about conspiracies in general, um, a lot of different elements can be involved because they all have their own agendas of what they can gain from, say, the assassination of a president. And so they all get involved one way or another, and they may not even be supporting each other. There just happens to be a convergence of interest to get rid of somebody like JFK at the time. And certainly there are a lot of damning evidence out there about LBJ being involved, statements he's made on tape, interviews with his former mistress, and the like. And so, it's the Mac Daddy of all conspiracy theories. So the first thing I have to say is I'll really be surprised if unredacted and deep documentation of all those events gets revealed. But that said, if it does, it's going to be a new day in America. The other thing I want to point out too is the government has really gotten bat happy about classifying everything. They really just don't want anybody to know anything about anything. And it's so ridiculous that, believe it or not, we still have documents from the American Civil War in the 1860s that are still classified. And they can always use the same excuse. They're protecting national security by making sure that nobody knows what they're really doing. And I don't really buy that, and I don't think most of my viewers would either. Another aspect of this that's important to point out too is, they created the Freedom of Information Act, and so theoretically, everyone can request documents from the government on various topics, and of course, a lot of the documents, when they are finally handed over, they're redacted heavily, so it's hard to garner any information out of them. But that was a noble effort, but as usual, they find loopholes and ways to circumvent it. Now it's gotten very difficult. A lot of times with the Freedom of Information Act, you make the request, and they can basically stonewall you for as long as they want. And sometimes they've stonewalled people for years. And then, of course, as I pointed out, when you finally do get the documents, they're so heavily redacted, they don't have much value. But a grand gesture by Trump, and it would be great if he actually ended up airing out some dirty laundry, and there's some major revelations, and we got a new look at what the U.S. government is capable of, and who and what they thought were involved in all these assassinations. And that's always good, shining light on these dark corners. And a lot of people don't have that much faith in the government as it is. We know between the U.S. government and its agencies like the CIA They're involved in all kinds of crazy shit all over the world, and they just don't want people to know about it. And wouldn't it be a great thing if we got enough information to actually see just how horrible our U.S. government can be, what they're capable of, and certainly if these documents get released in all their glory, we're going to see a side of the U.S. government that we always imagined, and perhaps with some actual direct evidence this time. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too?